There is Baggedmilk. How you doing today, my friend?
Excited. Game day. Let's go.
I know. I just started feeling it. Come on.
Yeah.
Time for a beer. It's 8:41. Man, I'm late.
I just have the need to do like the Ric Flair woos all day. Woo.
So
Let's go.
Let's revisit game one quickly.
Sure.
Penalty or not?
The Desharnais and OT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was a call, but was it a cheap call? Yeah. Based on some of the stuff that they hadn't called earlier in the night, including a trip by Kopitar on Draisaitl with like 2 or 3 minutes left in the third period. So based on the way they were calling things all night, I thought it was a cheap call, but ultimately that's a tripping penalty every time.
So the play before it, where he gets rubbed out by the king, is that interference or no? Or is that just a good hockey play?
Yeah, I didn't think that was interference at all. To be honest, I thought in that last sequence or with the sequence where Desharnais ended up getting the penalty, that he just kind of lost position. He fell, took a swing. Like, I don't know if it was a desperation swing.
It's just a desperation.
As he was falling.
Yeah.
You know, and it was one of those ones where it went badly. But for the Oilers, like, I was at Rogers Place for game one, and in the third period it looked like they took their foot on the gas. For 40 minutes they were in full control of that hockey game, and then in the third period they started getting sloppy. They started getting sloppy with the puck. There was a play by Hyman not covering his man in front of the net that allowed the basically free look right off the face-off. There was just mistakes that the Oilers were not making down the stretch that they made in the third period, and it proved costly. And it sucked that people were dumping on Desharnais a little bit. I get the mistake, I get the penalty, I get why we're frustrated, but there's a lot of things that led up to that moment that were the reason for the loss.
The way he fell, because he got spun around. No, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I wasn't mad at him for that penalty.
It's just one of those plays where you're not thinking, and all you're thinking about is the puck. Like, you just have the puck away from him. Yeah. Where is it? Get that puck. We can't lose. Yeah. Yep. Game one's over, though. Did the Maple Leafs make you feel better last night?
Because listen, if there's death taxes and the Leafs getting dummied in round one, that's just how life goes. But the weird thing,
made me feel good.
It did. It, like, you know what? It took the edge and the sharpness off yesterday. But the wild thing is that 6 of 8 home teams have lost game one so far.
I know.
So it's been a wild start to the first round, and but last night, wow, the Leafs really. I mean, well, let me ask you guys a question, because we had this discussion on Oilers Nation Radio yesterday. Would you rather lose big in game one like the Leafs did last night, or lose the way the Oilers did on game one?
Oh, yeah, I'll take the Oilers loss.
I would take the Oilers, I think.
Me too, because that was like they were in control of the game. They were the reason they lost. And they made mistakes.
Yeah, they know what they need to do. I mean, stay out of the box.
The Leafs got pumped.
The Leafs was just like, I mean, they're blaming it on the refs and everything else too, but the Leafs was like demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like Samsonov.
Yeah, that's humiliating.
Samsonov has got to be a little shaky today.
I hope.
I think there's a lot of guys in that room that are shaky today. Like, as much as listen, I said it last week. I thought the Leafs are going to get through round one, and I still think they are. But like, in terms of setting the tone and just avoiding those feelings like, oh man, here we go again. Last night was tough. Well, at least from an Oilers perspective, they lost game one to LA last year and came back and won the series. So like, I'm still feeling good.
I feel good about the Oilers still.
I do too. Yeah. I think you can't give the Kings any room, and we were saying that last week. We were talking about the potential matchup from the first round and the Kings, and everyone was like, I'm okay with the Kings. Could it be better? Yes. But that team, they're I don't know, they're sneaky.
You gotta keep going against them.
Yeah. I don't want to dwell too much on the game, but I do want to say this out loud, because we made this comment on Tuesday morning after the loss on Monday night in the opening game for the Oilers at home. I think it's a mistake for the crowd to, no matter how angry you are at whatever's happening on the ice, don't delay the game, because I think that also was a problem, because now they got to go. You're chucking stuff on the ice. Now everyone's sitting there. They're getting cold. They're in their heads. You know what I mean? I think...
Yeah, 100%.
I think that was a huge mistake.
You just look like a huge baby, too.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting in there, and I felt embarrassed that people were throwing things on the ice.
Yeah.
Like, act like you've been there before a little bit. Like, I didn't understand what Yeah, I was annoyed with the refs too, but ultimately the Oilers took penalties at terrible times. Nobody ever thinks getting to the Stanley Cup Finals is going to be easy. And some of these people reacted like they thought the Oilers were just going to waltz through and got 16 straight wins, cups coming home. Act like you've been there before. I thought it was embarrassing to react that way on a loss, and it made us all look like idiots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's embarrassing when they do that.
Yeah. I think you have to. Again, I think this is going to be one of the longest first rounds collectively that we've seen in the history of the NHL. These games are going to be close, and every series is going to go back and forth. You're going to see, I think, a lot of game 6s. You're going to see a handful of game 7s. This is going to be a really fun first round of the NHL playoffs. This series included, right?
100%.
It's going to get mean, and it's going to be fun to watch.
100%, 2,000%. That's what I'm excited about tonight. I'm not nervous at all. Like, if the Oilers go in and play the way they did in the first and second period tonight, they're going to be fine. But then at the same point, there are no easy outs in the NHL playoffs either. Like, we look at what happened last night. Who had the Kraken beating Colorado at home in Game 1? Nobody
Not
did.
Me. Yeah. No, I lost some money on that one, actually.
I think a lot of us
You
did.
lost money on every game, didn't you?
Well, thank you for bringing that up again.
Keep betting on the Leafs, please.
I actually bet the Leafs to win last night. I thought they'd come out and win. I need that series to go 7 so I can get my $100 back. But definitely, I should have learned. And even I was listening to some, I can't even remember who it was that said, you got to be careful with the first rounds. The first games in the beginning of
teams get too hyped up sometimes, especially when you're at home. And
don't bet on the first game and the first
stick a little too tight.
I'm like, I'm not going to listen to that. Abs, yeah, Leafs, everybody that was favored. I Knights,
Kraken,
yeah. Anyway, yeah. Listen, tonight's game. Do you think this evening we're going to see? It's hard to have this conversation because even without a lot of offensive contribution on Monday night, McDavid looked absolutely insane. Like he was on fire, and he didn't actually capitalize, didn't pump it into the net.
Yeah, but he drew 2 penalties on that one.
Well, exactly.
Leading to the goal on the 5-on-3.
So it's tough to have. Do you think he's going to have a better night? Like,
well, that's the interesting thing too. Is that I was cruising the internet yesterday, doing what I do, and I was actually surprised to see how many people outside of Edmonton were just like, "Oh, Connor didn't do anything in Game 1. Can't shut him down." I'm like, well, I mean, I guess on the score sheet, yeah, that is true. But if you actually watched the game with your eyeballs, you would have saw a guy who was, like you said, he was buzzing. In the first period, he looked like he was going to single-handedly take it over on his own. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I would put a sprinkle on Connor doing something ridiculous tonight because he doesn't go 2 games in a row getting shut out. And he spent yesterday stewing on it. He's mad today.
Absolutely. Who they got covering him? What's his nut?
Danault's covering him, Kopitar's covering him. They both do a really good job.
They do a really decent job because I remember that last time they played, the Kings really impacted his overall production as well. Anyway.
Well, at the same point, like his line mates have to pick it up. I didn't think Nuge or Hyman had great games in Game 1. And when Connor's buzzing like that, he needs his line mates to give him the support because if the Kings are going to ride him as closely as they have been.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to have some space.
You know what's interesting about that conversation is I was thinking that the other night. I was thinking, man, they got to throw Kane back on with McDavid to give McDavid a little more space. But I love Kane with Draisaitl.
I wonder how long it's going to take if Woody will make that switch because we had the same conversation yesterday in the office. Last season, Kane, Hyman, McDavid was a very, very good line for the Oilers in the playoffs. I wonder if they're going to go back to the well here at any point.
Well, and that one play, I forget at what period, it might have been the second period, where Kane jumped off the bench and he went into the Kings zone and he didn't even go for the puck. He just creamed the defenseman, right? and just didn't even pay attention to the puck. Ended up with a puck, threw it out front. Like, he's creating opportunities for Draisaitl based on his aggressive play. And that's one thing, like you just said it, that's one thing that Nuge, as much as I love him, isn't doing for McDavid, right? They're relying on speed with that line, and it might not be enough. They might need some bodies to get thrown around when McDavid's out there. Anyway.
Well, and also, like, if they did flip, say, Nuge and Kane on that left side, like, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins also had a lot of success playing with Draisaitl and Yamamoto as well. So it may be just a different look, but I also would not be surprised in the slightest if, with the line combos come out a little bit later this morning, that we're looking at the exact same lineup for the Oilers.
We'll keep an eye out for that. Where are we partying tonight with the Oilers Nation?
We only are doing our watch parties at Greta for away games. So get down to the Moss Pit. Get down to. I've renamed the second one. The Oilers did a really bad job naming the second one, so I renamed the second one Stelter Square. So go down to the Moss Pit and Stelter Square.
I like that.
There you go. And that's our time. Baggedmilk, Oilers Nation. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
The Locker Room for Arden Roof Systems. Weekday mornings on 95.7 Cruise FM.